Hello, everyone, and welcome to United Way. Live United. I'm Terry Westerfield, and joining me today, I have friends who are in to talk about Born Learning, and more specifically, the Born Learning Trail. This is absolutely fascinating, and I think it's something we're really going to love here in the community. I first want to welcome to the program my colleague, Todd Bettis. I almost gave you a new name there, Todd. How about that? Todd Bettis, who is the Vice President of Children and Families for United Way of Southeast Louisiana. How you doing, Ted?
Good. Good morning, Terry. How you doing?
Thank you, Todd. Also, welcome to the program, Sandra Reed. Now, Sandra is with Ready, Set, Go, and she is the community coordinator. This is part of the Orleans Public Education Network, or OPEN. Did I get that all correct?
You got it exactly correct.
All right. Thank you, Sandra.
Good morning.
And also joining us today, Christine Jordan. And Christine is the Senior Lead Analyst of Corporate Social Responsibility for Entergy Corporation. And Entergy is just out there and always willing to help our community. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you. Good morning, Terry.
And last but not least, Cindy Wynn. Cindy is the Executive Director for VIET, V-I-E-T. And Cindy, please tell us what that is.
It's Vietnamese Initiatives in Economic Training.
And you've been doing some marvelous things out there in New Orleans East.
We try.
Okay. Well, again, I want to thank you all for joining us today, and we're going to talk about the Born Learning Trail. Now, it's an interactive, playful, and visible community engagement tool that's part of the Born Learning campaign. Now, that's designed to help parents, caregivers, and communities support early learning. And I know this is something that United Way has been involved in for many, many years. And Todd, Born Learning was originally a name that was part of a program that United Way Worldwide, then United Way of America had started.
Yeah, we started out with Success by Six, and a part of Success by Six was to see to it that all children were prepared and ready to learn when they enter school. One of the activities that they introduced was Born Learning. It was an opportunity to educate parents, community, and community leaders about how to educate young children. There were a series of activities that you could do. We had a couple of commercials that ran early on, some billboards, but the trail is one thing that came out as an exciting opportunity from some work that we were doing with OPEN and the EDI, the Early Development Instrument. It's an assessment that sort of helps community make informed decisions about where resources should be focused on to prepare children for school. So the Born Learning just fit nicely with that work, and the partners that we have here this morning are all integral to us introducing this activity to New Orleans and to the rest of the city and state.
And if you could kind of stick with that theme for just a moment, because I want people who tune in every Saturday or Sunday to listen to this program to understand that we're usually part of, when I say we United Way, part of a collaborative, part of a cooperative. We work together because we believe that we all need each other to get the job done in this community. And if you could address that a little bit, Todd, about some of these partnerships and collaborations.
Well, when you think about preparing kids, this work is huge. It can't be one entity that's doing this work. So United Way works in collaboration with VIET, OPEN, Entergy, lots of other partners that work with United Way and this community. And United Way tries to sit at the table with those partners to see how we can contribute to their work. So I think it's just a unique opportunity for us to come together as a community and work in the best interest of children in lieu of working in the best interest of our individual organizations, because the work is so much bigger than any organization.
And I think that we're all in agreement that a lot of what we need to do in this community is it starts with education. Education from the very beginning. It sets the tone for the rest of one's life, perhaps, and how our community is going to be viewed in the future. Born Learning seems like an absolute natural. So let's start the conversation a little bit more about it now and the trail and how this came to be, and whether it's Sandra or Cindy or Christine, please give us a little history.
I like the fact that this is Sandra, and I like the fact that Todd or Ted, whoever he wants to be, really began it at the beginning, and that's with the EDI. The Early Development Instrument is actually a survey tool that got this ball rolling. OPEN, Orleans Public Education Network, has been working with a group called TEX. The early childhood community is very, very close-knit around the country, and EDI is an international tool that really assesses child development at a very early age. And what makes it extremely unique is that the EDI data set does not really look at children individually or at schools. The thing that makes it unique and sexy, if you will, is that it looks at assessing children at a neighborhood level. Why that's important is because it gives community and policymakers an opportunity to do some hands-on, integral, personal, custom fit work in their communities. The Early Development Instrument has been being collected since 2010, and Open really got into the work of EDI in 2011 with the support of many of our partners like Energy and so many others, including the United Way, that the Kellogg Foundation and many others, to help get this information gathered. EDI is really like the baseline level. And what we did with that information was to create customized reports by neighborhood. So neighborhoods could know this is what the mean is for the children in our area. The conversation was lifted to another level as we began to share this information with city council people and school board people and community leaders and parents and early childhood educators. And why that's important is because there are different ways of addressing a need, and sometimes they are place-based, sometimes they are cultural. Even if the numbers say the same, the rationale and the reason behind the numbers are different.
Well, it could be if you're talking about this and it's just drilling down and you think of just neighborhoods. Lakeview is different from, say, Central City, as is Uptown to Gentilly, as to anywhere. So you're right, not only the families that live there, the children that are growing there, but the resources that are available, and
exactly,
on and
that's
on and
exactly right. And the fact that you brought Lakeview up, Lakeview was one of the first neighborhoods that we were able to share the information that we got from this tool, this data set. We are at Open actually focusing most of our efforts in three central neighborhoods. One is Central City, another is Broadmoor, and the third is actually Village de l'Est, New Orleans East.
Now, was
the
there a
Michoud
reason,
neighborhood.
though, Sandra? Was there a reason you chose those three?
One of the reasons,
diversity, or
it is diversity, and the fact is that we have data sets, information on schools all over the city, but you can't do everything for everybody. But we can offer some real specific training based on capacity for our organization as well. We are going into communities, and these three communities were chosen, and the community out in New Orleans East was chosen for this particular project, the Born Learning Trail, specifically because there are not a lot of early childhood education resources in that part of the city. We went to a conference earlier this year, and this conference had a lot of information about what people were doing nationally. The Born Learning Trail was just phenomenal in how it really gave a chance to parents and children to interact on these 5 domains that really point to early childhood education and school readiness. Those domains were physical health and well-being, social competence, emotional maturity, language and cognitive skills, communication skills, and general knowledge. Well, this apparatus itself just was a perfect fit to be able to do something that was interactive, that really went beyond, I'm going to teach you how to do parenting. No, it went beyond that. And so often what happens is information is applied to communities, and communities are not really utilized as partners in what it is that has to happen. So what Open began to do was to take the data sets, make customized reports according to neighborhood, and present them as we can to those 3 neighborhoods. Viet has been a long-term partner, as has Entergy, as well as United Way. And as soon as we came back from this conference, and we found out that Born Learning Trails have been a part of United Way's bag of tricks, so to speak, for a long, long time, I contacted Todd immediately. And the answer, without any hesitation, was yes, absolutely yes.
I think it was yes, and yes.
Then yes. So we went to our partners down in Michoud area, and Cindy said, The same
Yes.
thing. Yes. Yes. And the same applied after we had met a couple of times, and Entergy came on board, as they always do. Entergy is one of our favorite partners. But because they are just so willing, as you said, to be a part of community work. And Entergy says, yes.
Heck yes.
Yeah, heck yes. Okay, I like that.
It's a family show.
But I think if I can just piggyback off of what Sandra said, I think
Please, everybody jump in
it takes
here.
it beyond the classroom. Because we always think of the typical classroom as the only opportunity to educate kids. But with Born Learning Trails, it allows outdoor activities that looks at numbers, hopscotch, reading. And the exciting thing about what we're doing in the Vietnamese community is that the Born Learning Trail will be in 3 languages.
Yes.
We will have it in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese. So that's exciting for us that it's unique. We're the only ones of all the United Ways across the country that did it in 3 languages.
Wow.
So they actually talk with us about
Trilingual, okay.
Yeah, so it's like, well, we do have English and Spanish. We're going to need some assistance with converting it to Vietnamese. So this is exciting, and they're really looking forward to us launching this and seeing what we do with it, because our design is different thanks to Entergy. We're going to have a trifold where it sort of turns, and individuals based on the language can read it in that language. So it's exciting for us to do the Born Learning Trail like this.
Well, I know in a lot of the programs that we've had, and because of good folks like you who've been on before, we talk about early childhood education, and so much of it seems to be, yes, let's get out of the classroom, let's get out of the box, because it's a tactile experience, it's a learning experience. It's letting children's minds expand and explore. But I see this trail not only for them. I can imagine, again, that the parent, the guardian going in there, I wish I could speak Vietnamese and Spanish. I can imagine taking my nephew or niece and going along there. It'd be a learning experience for all of us.
The thing about the Born Learning Trail that I found extremely exciting is that it is fluid enough to make it flexible to customize in certain neighborhoods. Very much like the EDI, we got a chance to customize what the results were so that people could see what it looks like in their neighborhoods. The fact is that this trail gives communities and the work around Ready, Set, Go and EDI give communities, schools, and policymakers an opportunity to work together to develop partnerships that lead to systemic change in closing the achievement gaps in the early experiences of our children even before they get to school. What it looks like and what it seems to be is a place for parents and children to walk and play and talk. But those 5 domains are extremely important, and we really give prompts. The Born Learning Trail gives prompts to things like colors and things like interactive, if you can jump and if you can smile. If you give a parent something to talk to their kids about, it never gets old because there are ways to do it. Entergy looked at what it was that we had on the ground and says, how can we make it the best it can be? And therefore the trilingual opportunity came, and Christine took this ball and began to run just so fast on.
Christine,
Just
share
call
with
me
us.
Darren Sproles.
But it's such a good community partner. I mean, Entergy Corporation, especially all of you good folks in the social responsibility are. Look at everything, and you see, again, I believe how all the parts connect. And it meets with your missions, and it meets with, again, the idea of how we're going to build a better community.
Absolutely. It was a great fit for us. And that's why, I mean, just like Sandra said, immediately we were like, yes, this is a perfect idea. And for Entergy, it was a natural extension of the work that we've been supporting for so long in the area of early childhood development in terms of supporting research and advocacy and the actual implementation of high-quality early childhood education. So, we were supporting the Ready, Set, Go program, the EDI work, and then when they said they wanted to develop the Born Learning Trail, that was perfect. And for me, I think it's especially important because since it is outdoors and it provides physical activities for parents to do with their kids, for kids to do with their parents, grandparents, caregivers, it's fun. And it's so important to make learning fun, particularly in those early days, because you want to make sure that your children develop a love for learning. You want them to see learning as fun. And it's just crucial. It's a crucial first step for our communities to develop healthy, productive citizens.
And I think it goes back to what Sandra said and Todd too, and we've learned in studying that young brains have the opportunity. The sooner you can get to them, the more that you'll be able to absorb.
The statistics do show exactly that. Between birth and 5 years, children have mastered the majority of what they will know the rest of their lives. That is why this opportunity to demonstrate some practices, some skill building sets, some competencies, and we use all these scientific sounding words when the fact is that data sets and domains and predictors of future behavior means something to us, and it does mean something to the community. But the fact is that when we got together and decided that EDI was information that we needed to have, there really had to be a more community-friendly way to be able to share this information. And the Born Learning Trail is really a community action tool that'll help provide visibility and galvanize communities around early learning. We chose Village de l'Est as one of our focus neighborhoods as a great place to get started because there's a need for services in the Michoud and Village de l'Est area. There's not a lot of access to affordable early childhood services. So we're excited about this partnership with Viet and others and what that can really mean to families in this community. And this is what RSG is really all about, identifying a way to address a need. The good news is this is just the beginning.
That's right. And if I could just piggyback on Sandra, Viet has been at the table to advocate and campaign for early childhood service program in our community. Currently, we have a private/public child care facility that service about up to 100 kids. I have triplet son, by the way, Terry.
Oh, my goodness.
So I have
a change since we last saw each other.
Yes, exactly. I just added 3. But, I mean, as a parent, I'm always struggling to find quality, affordable child care facility because I am a big advocate that every child, no matter what ethnicity, what income base they're from, that they should have access to quality education. So while we're still advocating for early childhood services to provide in our community, I think. And I was so excited when Sandra called me, and I still remember the day that she called me, and I'm very big on innovative. I always want to be the first for everything. And so I'm really excited that, while New Orleans East struggled to rebuild our community, where we're still working on our hospital, when we're still working to improve economic development, we are going to be the first to have a Born Learning Trail. And so I'm just humble and very privileged to the partners that I have here through Entergy, Open, and United Way that we're going to have the first Born Learning Trail, and that is uniquely designed for our families. And I definitely want to kudos my partners for recognizing the diversity of families we have in Eastern New Orleans. Vietnamese parents, families, African American, Latinos. Our Latino family are growing, and like I said, I'm just elated the fact that we're going to be trilingual. And not only that, but we've been very fortunate. I think that if 2 years ago, if I did not inherit a 30-year lease from the Archdiocese of New Orleans, I don't think we'll be able to do this. So definitely want to thank my leaseholder with the Archdiocese of New Orleans. So Viet sits on 8 acres of land. It used to be a church. And 2 years ago, the Archdiocese gave us a 30-year lease, and we transformed the property into a community center where we actually have a walking path already in place. And so I think it was a perfect match, right?
Yeah.
It was
It
a
is.
perfect
It's
match.
natural.
And let me just say this, a lot of projects, normally it requires resources, but this project, I was so excited there was a component for community. And I want to thank Entergy for even having us at the table, because without their resources, we would not be able to be at the table because we just have a community. And many times as community, we struggle financially or with resources. And so I think the different partners here really is very diverse. And again, thank you guys for making this happen on October the
29th.
29th.
So,
October 29th
yeah.
is Build Day.
That's right.
It's confirmed. We have confirmation from the builders of the material. It will be here
Yeah.
on, I think it's the 24th or 25th. But we're building the Born Learning Trail on the 29th in the Viet community. One of the things I'm also excited about.
Because when you say build it, now Cindy's saying there's a trail, but as Sandra pointed out, and Christine too, there's
It's
a lot more
it's
to
a
it.
walking trail with activities that's down on the ground where there'll be a hopscotch and there'll be a triangle, different colors. There's signs along the walking trail for the parents and the kids to walk and interact. So that's exciting for us to see that outdoor activity take place. So many kids, and I have older kids now, but they sit inside, in front of the TV playing the Xbox and the PlayStation. I think this is a movement to get kids out, engage in more physical activity so that they can develop their physical strength along with their minds to be engaged in outdoor activities. I'm excited to say that our president, Gary Ostrowski, put up dollars to make this trail a reality along with the other partners. So Entergy was at the table and open. It's not something that's free. And when Cindy talks about resources are scarce in this community right now. So if there's anyone out there in the community that wants to do a Born Learning Trail, we'll be more than happy to share that information with you. Corporations, you can even do a Born Learning Trail in your office. So if you have a hall, you can put those kinds of activities down on the hall. Opportunities for parents to engage with their kids. One of our other partners that contributed to this work was Lowe's. Lowe's provided some materials for us. So it's an opportunity to build partnerships. So these partners here are at the table, but we reached out to other partners to say, well, look, can you give us some resources to help defray the cost? So we have volunteers coming out. Entergy may have some volunteers out.
We definitely will have volunteers.
United Way, we're trying to work with Hands On to get volunteers to come out to help us build the trail. We'll put a save the date out, let the media know about this opportunity that exists so that folks can see this. Wow, this is cool. This is a real good opportunity, and it's not very expensive for a corporation to do a Born Learning Trail. You're looking at no more than $5,000 to do this kind of activity. So we're hopeful that, we know this will be the first of many. So we're committed to do more than just one.
Yeah.
We're starting with Cindy out in the Vietnamese community.
And it's
unless
free
we
to the public.
Yes.
And that's very important, yes.
Yeah.
And lest we forget, Born Learning Trails are a single apparatus of a bigger work. It is a point that we can actually pull community in. But the fact is that the EDI really identified some really salient points where neighborhoods, communities, their policymakers can all really get together and think about other ways to really enhance their communities, because this is not the end. It is the beginning. This is not the only thing that we offer. Even though Open and Ready, Set, Go and myself personally, I'm willing to go to any neighborhood that is interested in hearing more and more about what it is in their neighborhoods that can be done. Born Learning Trail is only one thing. There are many opportunities that communities can come up with themselves to figure out how it is to make their kids more school ready, what it is in their communities that can be improved and enhanced in order to pump the numbers up for children. We know that nationally, the more words a child has by age 5 really predicts what their competencies and their success rates in schools are. So while the Born Learning Trail really does address physical health and well-being, emotional maturity, because you get a chance to use your language and talk about some things, there are other ways in order to do that. So we are looking forward to as many partnerships throughout the community as is possible so that Ready, Set, Go can really be a part of some of that national work being done using the EDI. The fact is that the Vietnamese community has a way of looking at things. The Hispanic community has a way of looking at things. The African American community has a way of looking at things. And it doesn't really matter what neighborhood you're in. The way you look at things can really help shape how it is that you help your young children get further along in their development by the time it's time to go to school. So we don't want to say that it's only a one-trick pony. The fact is that Ready, Set, Go has a lot of little tricks up their sleeve so that we can really help communities get our children ready for school.
And Cindy, I know that you have a number of other programs that you're also working on and other sponsors with whom you're working to expand the reach of it out in the East.
Yes. So as part of with the Born Learning Trail, we're also working with Entergy on the First-Time Homebuyer Program that they recently funded. So FYI, in Eastern New Orleans, there's not a single one First-Time Homebuyer Program at all. The closest to us is actually downtown or uptown. And so what we did was we leveraged a partnership with NDF and then pitched it to Entergy, and it was a perfect pitch for them. And so they're embracing us. So I was just mentioning to Christina right before we came on the air that, that we're going to have our first class in November. So I definitely want to restock the housing market in Eastern New Orleans. So, and I think a lot of us, we work in different partnership and different other programs. I think because the relationship is already healthy, and all of us really have the same focus of serving our community. And so I've been very fortunate to have other partnership with other work with Entergy as well as United Way outside from the Born Learning Trail. But really, the Born Learning Trail starts first, because if our children are not well developed, they cannot become a first-time home buyer. So a lot of it connects, right?
It absolutely
Yes,
connects.
Christine, please,
It
because
absolutely
we couldn't
connects.
do it without you.
That's right.
Long term, even though this is, it's when I think about the event, I think about how colorful the trail is going to be, and how much fun it's going to be, and how great it's going to be to have families of different backgrounds and ethnicities come together and be out enjoying the trail with their children, different generations, all at the same time. All of this diversity going on, that's great, because that's a focus for Entergy. What people may not see when they're out there enjoying this is long term. Indirectly, this is an economic development issue. You've got to have healthy communities. You've got to have, and again, I'll say it, develop productive citizens. And you're starting that high quality education from the very beginning. And for Entergy, it makes perfect sense for us, because we need to have healthy communities to thrive. We need to make sure that we continue to build on New Orleans coming back stronger and better than it ever was. And so it's exciting for us.
And you've been such a good partner to everyone around this table, and I think about United Way too, and you're mentioning Homebuyers Program. I'm thinking of the individual development accounts and the things that, my goodness, there's so many things that it's kind of United Way and Energy and Fiat and Energy. And we've got EDI and everybody. And you're there.
And we're looking forward to continuing to do that. I'm excited. We've been talking about our plans for 2014 and beyond, and all of that is in there: home buyer training, affordable housing, IDAs, really doing a lot of work in terms of helping families build their assets and helping families move out of poverty.
And that's so important. In fact, we're getting ready to celebrate 50 years.
Yeah.
Since President Johnson. So, look how many things were. Again, I always love the way I'm sitting. I know everybody can see me, but I'm always intertwining my fingers, because that's how I feel and how I see us. Folks, can you believe how far this conversation has gone? Just a few moments left. And I would like you really quick, if people want more information about the Born Learning Trail, whom should they contact? Is there a number they should call? Is there a website? And if you think you need more volunteers, anybody want to go?
Absolutely.
All right, Sandra.
The early childhood education issue, the development of school readiness, has been championed by many organizations and is broadly supported. So anybody who is interested in anything having to do with Ready, Set, Go and newborn learning trails, please contact Orleans Public Education Network at 504-821-4004. I'm your connection to everything about EDI, everything about Ready, Set, Go. The collaboration of our funders that have supported this effort, including the Kellogg Foundation, Baptist Community Ministries, Greater New Orleans Foundation, Institute of Mental Health, United Way, as well as Entergy. All of those people are at the table when you contact me, so that if you have a community meeting that you want to make sure that this information gets out to, if you have volunteers to help us on Tuesday the 29th for the actual build, or on Monday the 28th for our setup and get ready, please contact me at 821-4004.
Thank you so much. And let's not forget again Lowe's, Todd. I think you said Lowe's will be in there
Lowe's is a
providing.
great partner. Yeah, they're providing us with lots of materials for the build day. And I just want to give a soft shout out to Coaxon Enterprises that's providing us with some meals that day. So that's exciting to have some food out there for our volunteers.
Henry and Karen are always wonderful supporters.
As we do this work. In addition, we do have a link on the United Way's website for the Born Learning information. So it'll be difficult to catch me in the office, but if you want to get information about Born Learning, there will be a link on the United Way's website after we do the bill. We want to successfully get that out of the way and then provide more information.
Todd Batiste, Sandra Reed, I want to say thank you to Christine Jordan and Cindy Nguyen. For United Way, I'm Terry Westerfield, and this has been Live United.